Welcome, everybody, to the Who Cares Anyway podcast. We are live. It is Friday night. I'm your host, as always, Chris Skywalker Dohmen. At least that's my usual Twitter handle and stuff. I don't know why I sometimes will do that, just accidentally. Just kind of who I am, I guess. But I'm not the only one here tonight. Of course, I've got the usual Friday night crew. Ryan McLellan. Oh, wait. Yeah, he sadly got screwed by by the little thing called scheduling, which I'm a little worried is going to happen to me because something great happened to me this week. But before I before I get further into that, I must introduce the rest of the panel. My usual co-host, Kees, Cornelisse. Kees, what's up, man? How's your Friday going?
Hello, everyone. My Friday is going pretty well. I've had a pretty good week, I'd say. Even though it was the very early morning shift that I usually despise, it was still a pretty good week for me, where I, did a lot of stuff on designing stuff for our script, which I'm very happy with how everything is starting to look. I'm getting towards the end of the thing that I'm working on now. It's just the Sith base. That's cool. I've had a pretty good Friday so far, and I'm very much looking forward towards the show because there are some interesting discussions to be had, to say the least.
I think that's the nice way of putting it. But and it's safe to say, you and I are going to have some very obvious opposite thoughts. I think we're also going to have some very interesting similar thoughts in some regards. And, of course, also here tonight, you know him, you love him. He's Mr. Yeah himself, Nico Rigoli. What's up, man? How you doing tonight?
I just joined the Schmodown Discord, and it's really nice and fun. So if you're a Patreon, go join it. If you're on Patreon, go join the Schmodown Discord.
Nice.
Because that's the only way you can get on. But I am having a good night tonight. We just watched a fantastic Schmodown match. Go watch that too. After you're done here, of course.
And watch our reaction.
I was going to say, watch our reaction, which will drop after this, obviously. Yeah. So, and you know what? Okay. I'm going to call it a little bit of an audible here. Because without spoilers, as you will hear all three of us say several times throughout that video, that is a contender for match of the year, bar none.
Match of the years.
Yeah, and I will make the argument best intergeekdom match of all time.
Oh, that's easy. Actually, it's not that easy, but
it's not that easy, but it's pretty damn close. All right,
Fantastic
we got Zach M
match.
and Jonathan Peck in the chat. Jonathan Peck, yeah, we saw you today, man. It's always great to see your name on the show. But hey. How you guys doing? How was your week? Please let me know in the chat. And obviously, as we go into the week that was, there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to consume because we're also talking about the past year of cinema, in addition to what happened at the Oscars, all of the hashtag controversy. Even if it makes us look a little bit shallow. Oh, sorry, too soon. But yes.
I didn't get to watch the Oscars, so lucky you for
me neither.
making that joke.
Because you spoiled Best Picture for me on Facebook. Thank you.
Yeah, you would have seen it very quickly soon enough. I'd say
that is very true.
Because look, I mean, literally, and to be fair, that's what I do every single year for the Oscars. What I've done for the last 6 years is that I live tweet the Oscars and I live tweet just everything that I'm seeing, whether I like it or dislike it. For example, when Leo finally got his Oscar for The Revenant, do you want to know what I remember exactly what I said in my tweet? Well, Leo finally won an Oscar. Now the internet can shut the hell up.
Yeah, because he did not deserve it that year, but still, the internet craved him to win. Sure.
Absolutely, and before and like I said, guys, we will be getting to the Oscars in a little bit, but there were some other news stories that dropped this week that either were brought to my attention or I discovered real fast, and I'm like, you know what, I want to talk about this before we get into controversy and shit talk and yada yada yada. Before Rant City, as it were.
Ooh.
And the first thing I want to bring up to to much to Case's delight and Nico's, because you were also on the Frozen 2 reaction. So we finally have gotten a little bit of plot detail, courtesy of the director, Jennifer Lee, who also did direct the first one. She's back once again, and of course, I'm happy about that because yeah, she's great.
Pretty much.
And some of the details that she's brought up is that we're gonna explore, obviously, outside of Arendelle. So we were right in that prediction that we are finally going to leave Arendelle and we're going to go see what the rest of the countryside looks like. But also, this was a really interesting detail. We're going to explore what happened to Anna and Elsa's parents.
Oof. Wait, #Tarzan theory?
Yes, because I'm actually a big fan of that Tarzan fan theory that the same parents that birthed Tarzan are the parents of Elsa and Anna. So like if they explore that, I'm all in. I'm all in.
And that's selfishly, that's kind of where I wanted to go. Like, is it gonna exactly be Tarzan? Probably not, sadly. But taking that idea, though, that's something that I actually think could be really cool. And maybe they do have a younger sibling who, was conceived by Agnar and Iduna after the crash, after they landed, wherever they landed. So I don't know. Could that person be technically the next to inherit the throne? That could raise some very great questions. So, is it a little complicated for Disney? Maybe.
No.
But then again, at least Case, you and I were Game of Thrones fans, so come on.
You can't call yourself a Game of Thrones fan if you've not seen the half of the show. Sorry.
Okay, hold on. Do not insult anyone's fandom. Everyone has their own levels of fandom, and they express it in different ways. Some people are late to the party. Other people have been there from day one, but still never insult anyone regarding their level of fandom.
Shame on you for that pun, sir. Although Robert and Vanessa would love you for that.
That pun was completely unintentional.
Look, Robert and Vanessa, they're great. So
they are. And cool guy. Always great to see you in the chat, my man. And again, you brought up a great point about the Oscars, which we'll get to in just a moment here. But wrapping up on Frozen 2 real fast. Now that we're hearing a little bit more about this, is there any speculation that either of you guys have in terms of where this story could go? Like, what kind of story it could tell?
I don't really speculate that much, mostly because I usually get disappointed by it anyway. And I hate people who speculate to the point that it becomes way too ridiculous to even speculate. So I just want to see the movie. That's it.
I remember when we first did the reaction, we were kind of going by just what we saw, because that's how reaction works. You go by what you see. And what we saw was what we thought was someone controlling the wind, and therefore the leaves of fall. So we thought, are they going to explore more powered people? As well as Elsa exploring her own powers.
Thank you for reminding me, Nico, because, sorry to cut you off, but that was one of the other things that now Josh Gad also gave some, a little, sort of a leak, but not really, where he said, if you want a little bit more understanding of where the story's going to go, take a close look at the poster, and how in the snowflakes on the poster you see 4 very different symbols, which, of course, as an Avatar fan, what does that get me thinking of?
The 4 elements.
Earth, fire, air. So
long ago.
Exactly.
We're not getting into
that yet. No.
We'll do that another
But no,
time.
Nico, sorry. Please continue now.
But no, you kind of picked up where I left off, which was that I just feel like we're going to see more powered people, or at least an exploration of something like that, and possibly how Ilsa is dealing with not being the only powered person in the world anymore. Because like she in the first movie, she was dealing with the struggle to be accepted for having powers, and then at the end, she finally won everyone over. And now we saw in the trailer for the second movie that she was exploring her own powers, and then we see someone who might be controlling the wind. So as she tries to become more in tune with her inner power, now there's someone who could potentially help her along that journey. So who knows? It could be a Yoda to Luke situation. We're all Star Wars fans here, so we might get that sort of thing. It's just a matter of like who would be the Yoda and who would be the Luke.
I do think Elsa in this case is like Luke, where both of them in the first movie they find out that they have a power and they are still just figuring out what to do with it. In the second movie, they know they have it. They try to control it, but they're not fully there yet, and they're trying to get there. And they'll hopefully will be a mess, because I do think that this will be the Empire Strikes Back to the Star Wars that was Frozen, because Star Wars and Frozen are great, but there can be more, and I do think the second one can definitely explore that, which I'm very much looking forward to.
Absolutely. And yeah, and again, Case took my point there, where the first film just set the groundwork. It gave us great characters that we all love. It gave us a great location, and now with the second one, its job is to take everything that we love and explore it, build on it, make it even more appealing to us than it already has been. So, and guys, let us know your thoughts in the chat about Frozen 2, if you're excited for it or not, or if you just want a good movie, like some people would say around here. Which, and to be fair, I'm guilty of two cases. I'm not just throwing you under the bus, I promise. But we're gonna move on to the first of 3 trailers that were brought to my attention this week, and man, this one sucks. It just sucks. I'm, of course, not talking about Detective Pikachu. I'm sorry. I like Pokemon. I like Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, same.
Why is
but
this not working for me?
Two don't go together.
No, the two don't go together. They're like oil and water. Because the problem here is that I feel like Ryan Reynolds is such a tour de force of personality that unfortunately it just kind of gets in the way, and it makes him indistinguishable from his Deadpool persona to how he's portraying Pikachu. Because, to be honest, I'm not hearing Ryan Reynolds play Pikachu. I'm hearing Deadpool playing Pikachu.
Yeah.
Case, similar thoughts?
Well, I haven't seen the trailer, but just I know the first trailer. I don't want to see any more trailers. I don't want to see any more footage. I don't want to see anything of this fucking movie, because I think it's hot garbage. It looks like it. CGI is fine, but yeah, it's just... Look, Ryan Reynolds is a good actor, and he's played several characters, and he's actually, like, he has a range in his comedic ability to act, and he is not just a comedic actor. He can also do other stuff. So I would assume when he is playing Pikachu that he's trying his hardest to do Pikachu, to create a different character from what he's done before, and try to really do Pikachu. But he's not doing that. He's just doing Deadpool, the Deadpool voice as Pikachu. And sorry, that just doesn't work for me. Because, look, I love Deadpool. Even the second one. I have both on Blu-ray. But it doesn't work for fucking Pikachu. And I like Pokemon. I've seen... first couple of seasons, I think, and then after one point I gave up because there were just way too many Pokemon.
Way too much to watch. Yeah. Same.
But I like Pokemon. I know who Pikachu is, and I'm like, I want this to be a good movie, but it just doesn't look it. And
I love how Jonathan
I was going to say, yeah, Nico. I want to get your thoughts on that then.
Yeah, Nico.
I love how Jonathan Peck is in the chat and he's just going Pika Pika. Like, that's funny to me. But yeah, I guess I'm kind of with you guys on this in that, like the first trailer I loved.
Man! Oh boy! So sorry, Nico. We're gonna
we're having
technical
difficulties.
Technical difficulty here, man. What the hell? See, it's kind of funny because before the show, Case was the one who was flipping out and going weird, and then
This is true.
And now it's Nico's turn. So while he gets himself figured out, and hopefully without having to leave the call, please don't.
Hopefully.
Okay, now you back?
No, I don't have.
Here, I closed a couple programs, so.
Okay.
You're
All right.
getting back.
All right. Well.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me now?
Okay.
Good.
All right. Okay.
Proceed.
Yes. Okay. We're good. I closed Discord, so less apps running probably make things smoother. Yeah. How are you? So for me, I'm kind of with you guys. The first I actually really enjoyed, but the second trailer for some reason is bringing on the thoughts that you guys are having on the Ryan Reynolds Pikachu relationship right now. Like, and maybe it's just you guys brought up something that I didn't see before, but yeah, I kind of see it now. That's like it's Ryan Reynolds trying to be Pikachu, and it's not someone that's blending into the role.
Yeah, and that's and it's really a shame because, again, Ryan Reynolds has been on a hot streak this decade, minus a big stumble with Green Lantern, which, to be fair, I don't think he was that. He himself wasn't that bad in it, but the movie did him no favors.
Hey, and the end credit scene of Deadpool 2 made good of it.
Yes, it did. But he's been on a hot streak the second half of this decade, and I just feel like this is a big step back for the dude, especially when he now has the clout to do whatever the hell he wants.
And he does this.
Why is he doing this? It's like Hugh Jackman. Well, never mind.
Because he wants to.
Fair enough. And yeah, to be fair, Jonathan Beck, you also brought up a great point that we're probably in the minority.
I don't think so. I've seen very split opinions. There are a couple of people who really do enjoy these trailers. I will still never know why. And there are a couple of people who absolutely hate it and think that it's just Ryan Reynolds doing.
I was just saying. Plus, Brian Nussbaum, you brought up a great point. The kid Justice Smith. I didn't like him in Fallen Kingdom either. And we'll get there. We'll get there in the second half of the show. Don't worry. We'll get there. But let's move on to the next trailer. It started off okay, and then it just kind of got boring. And I'm sorry, X-Men, you're doing Dark Phoenix again. How can you make this boring? How is it that the animated version from the 90s in the X-Men cartoon is the best version? Why can't people get this right? Nico, got any thoughts on the Dark Phoenix trailer, or did you not bother?
My thoughts are that my connection right now is really shitty, so I'm hearing every third word. But you asked me about the trailer for X-Men Dark Phoenix.
Yes.
And it's one of those trailers that, for one, spoils a gigantic plot point of the movie. So that in itself is problematic, because like that's something that you should really you either keep that close to the vest, or you realize that you have a stink bomb on your hands and you're just like, here, maybe if we reveal a big plot point for you, you'll be more inclined to go see it. Secondly, and this is going to be a bit of a hot take, but from a less is more standpoint, I'm kind of okay with Jennifer Lawrence's makeup in regards to the film. Yeah, now some people they just can't handle all that makeup, and I did feel like it was always weird that she was always naked. So in this case, just her face being painted, not as many layers as there have been in the past. I feel like it works in an unusual way. But that just might be me. Some people would. I know there are definitely a lot more people who would prefer her having to deal with all that makeup, which she would not prefer to do. And you know the thing is, we kind of know that the deal between the MCU and Fox is almost finalized. The deal between the Fox Disney is almost finalized, and so. What's the end result going to be of this movie? Is it going to have a big picture a consequence to it, or is it just going to be sort of like a movie that gets thrown away and then we end up recasting the entire X-Men population and as we make the transition into the MCU?
Maybe. But Case, let's
As
have some
a
fun.
as a longtime X-Men fan, this trailer is fucking garbage. It looks like trash. Why the fuck is Jennifer Lawrence in different color of blue than the last three movies? We have three movies, and I like all three of them. Even Apocalypse, which is not the best, it's the weakest out of the three, but I still like it. Um, at least she has the same color blue as the first two movies. Why the fuck did they change that? That was like my first thought when I was watching this trailer. Then we're doing Dark Phoenix again. Remember when they did that the last time? It was called The Last Stand, and it's arguably the worst X-Men movie to date, not counting the standalone Origins movies because that's definitely the biggest garbage there is. But seriously, like I've loved the X-Men movies since for about 15 years. I saw the first two I saw the first two, really liked them, and I saw the last 10. As a kid, I liked it, but when I recently rewatched it, no. But First Class is great. X-Men Days of Future Past is one of the best comic book movies ever made because I fucking love that movie. I have it on Blu-ray. X-Men Apocalypse saw a little bit of a step down, but I still like it enough. There are still enough in that movie for me to like. But this just looks like garbage. Not even McAvoy looks good in this movie. He has some ridiculous lines that, I talked with my girlfriend about this. She literally laughed out loud at how bad some of his line delivery was, which is just the worst because McAvoy is a great actor. He has so many good roles that I'm like, he is a good actor. Why can't this movie not even make him good? Michael Fassbender is there, I guess. Those two are the powerhouses of this trilogy. Those two are the reason that I slightly care about Apocalypse because they're still great in it. But even they look like garbage. And the character of Jean Grey as Dark Phoenix, Jean Grey is not, to me, has not been that interesting of a character in any of the X-Men movies. The most potential that she's had was maybe at the end of X2, and then they completely squash it with The Last Stand, and I think they'll do exactly the same with this movie. It doesn't look that she is going to be any good as Dark Phoenix or even fucking Jessica Chastain, who I like overall as an actress, but fuck, it just looks terrible, and this movie is going to
Yeah.
fucking bomb.
Oh, this movie's gonna bomb hard. And to be honest, between this and I'm looking forward to New Mutants more than I'm looking forward to this.
And New Mutants also doesn't look good.
And New Mutants doesn't seem like it's doing itself any favors either, sadly. But the main thing that kills this story for me the main thing that killed this trailer for me. You take one of the best dramatic actresses of the last 20 years, and you made her boring. Don't take Jessica Chastain and make her boring, because, well, once you actually figure out the script of Molly's Game and realize what her big problem was the whole time, it makes her instantly boring. So,
she was not that good in Molly's Game.
And that's my point, because sadly, Sorkin didn't give her that much to work with.
No, Sorkin's script was good. She just couldn't read the lines. Well, she was reading the lines in that movie.
Yes.
She was not acting them out.
And again, that was also Sorkin's direction, or lack thereof in this case.
Lack thereof.
And I get a little frustrated when I see people who have so much talent not being allowed a chance to truly present that. So, guys, can we just not? Can we just be glad that this franchise is finally going to come to an end? Sadly,
well, not to an end. There just needs to be a reboot. After this movie, Fox will be owned by Disney. They're going to incorporate it into
the MCU, and that will make it better.
Yeah.
Thank God. And with that, we're going to move on to our last trailer of the night, which I actually kind of liked. Hellboy. Even though, again, they do that stupid trend I can't fucking stand, which is take a classic song, but now we're going to slow it down, and we're going to make it all dramatic and intense, because we can't just write our own songs for trailers, right?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, what's next? Am I gonna hear? Am I gonna see a trailer for some like comic book movie or some teenage drama, and it's gonna go something like, "So get back"? Am I gonna hear my own fucking song done in that style? And if so, where's my royalties? But it's just. But that being said, I finally got my first glimpse of David Harbour as the new Hellboy. I got to see the new squad he's rolling with, and really got a feel for our villain, Rebecca Ferguson, if I recall correctly, or Rebecca Hall, one of the two. Sorry, guys, I get my Rebeccas mixed up all the time. But I thought she was great. I thought David Harbour was actually looks really promising because he's got the charm, he's got the funny, and I'm liking where it's going so far. I'm going to presume neither of you two saw the trailer?
Nope.
I did.
Oh, you did? Okay, please, Nico. Talk to
And
me.
I can tell you why I didn't in a second after Nico's thoughts.
So I saw it right as I was coming back home from a midnight walk in the snow. So it was 1 a.m. and I was covered in snow when I saw this trailer.
I saw this picture.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. If you haven't seen it, go check out my Twitter or Facebook. It's a hilarious picture where people question my life choices, which they always seem to do. But this movie, if there were any issues with the CGI, I did not notice them because I was kind of just focused on what was going on in relation to the characters. And I saw a makeout session while two people were covered in blood. And the dialogue at the end of that red band version of the trailer, those are kind of the two things that stuck out to me. And that's kind of all I need to really see to be on board and think, I want to see this movie. Because at least they've shown that it's weird enough that my life might be more enjoyable for having seen it than have not seen it.
All right, fair enough. And Kees, because I know you're a diehard fan of the Ron Perlman, Guillermo del Toro Hellboy films.
I'm not a diehard fan.
Well, okay, but you really like those films.
I really like those films, and it's essentially that if it's not Ron Perlman and del Toro, then it's not worth my time. I'm sorry. I don't think I'll be able to accept another iteration of Hellboy with different director, different actor, and that's why I really don't have any interest to see this movie, unless it has like an extremely high rating on Rotten Tomatoes, which I doubt. So we'll see.
It's doubtful, but to be fair, I wasn't expecting much out of. Well, okay, who am I kidding? I was expecting the hidden world out of How to Train Your Dragon 3, and I got it, and it wrecked me. So yes, guys, just letting you know, I saw How to Train Your Dragon 3 finally. I'm not gonna bother with a review. It's 5 out of 5. Go see it. It's wonderful, heartbreaking.
Seriously, yes, go see it.
Literally, guys, I ugly cried.
I did too.
Ugly cried for like a half hour straight.
Please go see it.
Please go
Seriously,
see it.
go see it.
Oh God, I'm gonna start tearing up now just thinking about it.
I should get caught up on my How to Train Your Dragon, I guess.
Yes, you should.
Please, thank you. All right, so now we've spent the first half hour talking about stuff that was sort of the normal movie news, normal fare. Rather than go to break, let's get into it, guys.
Jeez.
Now,
the most controversial night of this year.
Pretty much. Now, first off, I was noticing in the chat, a lot of you guys were saying that you actually really liked how there wasn't a host this year for the 2019 Academy Awards, and yeah, if there was an actual host to this thing, minus at the very end, it would have been a drag. It would have been just awkward and weird. And the fact that there wasn't, it made everything go faster and more streamlined, and I really appreciated that. So, but, yes, 2019 Oscars. What a shit show, in my opinion.
Why was it a shit show in your opinion?
It was a shit show in my opinion because the best moments were happy little accidents. As you guys can tell from the thumbnail, Oscar winner, now Oscar winner, Regina King, being helped up by Captain America. That was a happy little accident. And I enjoyed that. Olivia Colman, when she won Best Actress for The Favorite, her acceptance speech. Oh my God, she was just an adorable doll. Like, because she had no idea she was gonna win.
Because she was nowhere near to being the favorite for that one.
Yeah,
because seriously, everyone was talking. It's either going to be Glenn Close or Lady Gaga, because Glenn Close and Lady Gaga had momentum on their side, and Glenn Close a little bit more. And then Coleman comes in. It's like, where did that come from?
Yeah, and she literally was speechless. That was wonderful. And we'll get back more into that in a moment. And then, of course, you had the controversy, the big old controversial moment between two people who I'm convinced were definitely fucking on the set of A Star Is Born. Of course, Bradley Cooper, Lady Gaga, performing Shallow, the winner for Best Original Song, because what the hell else was it going to be?
Sunflower. Oh, wait, that wasn't nominated.
Oh, that would have been great. But I don't think it was actually written for the film, though. Was it?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it was originally written for the film, but what I do know, upon rewatch of Spider-Verse, it shouldn't have been nominated because it wasn't included in the film enough. Simple as that.
Fair enough. Okay. So, yeah, and then, so you have those two performing Shallow, and it's wonderful, it's great, but then it ends with Bradley just sitting right next to Lady Gaga on the piano and just...
I want to say something about this.
Please do.
Fuck you, Internet. Honest to fucking God, why are we reading into this shit? It was a serious... I've seen the moment several times now, because the first time I was like, so where was it? Because apparently, that's the thing, like, the big talk about that moment was, oh my God, they almost kissed! So I was like, okay, let's see how it looked. It is honestly that they sit very close to each other, and Lady Gaga just looks at him the moment that he comes very close to her, and everyone thinks, oh my God, she wanted to kiss him! Fuck you! Honest to fucking God! I looked at the moment and I didn't think it was anything like that. It was just a moment of them looking at each other and continuing the song. Because guess what? They needed to sing through the same goddamn microphone. And for them to actually pull that off, you need to be kind of close to that microphone. So let them just fucking get close to the microphone, get the faces together, and they didn't almost kiss. I fucking hate the internet sometimes. Jesus Christ. Okay, continue.
Which now, to be fair, I would be with you on that, but there is a happy little coincidence here at play. So now, and again, I'm not trying to support real life shipping, because that's people's real relationships and shit. So just don't do that. But there is something that was pointed out, that it would make sense if there was real romantic tension on the set of Star Is Born. So. The film shot 3 years ago already.
Jeez.
Yeah. So it would, Bradley it took him a while to actually get it distributed. That's why it took so long.
Mm-hmm.
Now, during that time, both of them were actually single. So that's why people are saying, it was, hashtag scandalous, because ever since, Bradley is now a father with a fiance, and then Lady Gaga had a fiance from a 2.5 year relationship, but they recently split up. So people are, and yes, granted, celebrity gossipers are just the worst, but I can somewhat understand where they're coming from. Again, I don't agree with it, but I get it. Nico, do you have any thoughts about this, or do you just want to get into the actual awards?
These are real people, so don't ship them because they have actual lives. I'm not gonna yell the same way Kees did, because let's just move on, please.
All right, we'll move on. Let's start getting the actual awards. The cool guy, I really appreciate you, sir. He said, "I don't know what I love more, Kees rants or Chris rants." we both can get pretty epic with this. So
we can get into it sometimes.
we can get into it, and I think we're about to because okay, Academy. We're gonna start. So first off, guys. Now congratulations to Bow, Skin, Free Solo, and Period and a Sentence.
We have not seen you.
I have seen some of you.
Okay.
But, yeah, not the whole panel hasn't. So, but let's start this off with visual effects. Now, I'm already mad because, never mind the fact that Infinity War didn't win, the fact that fucking Christopher Robin was nominated.
Or Solo, A Star Wars Story, for that matter.
I like the effects in Solo, A Star Wars Story, but never mind that.
Yeah. Okay.
But the fact that you guys didn't have the clout to bother nominating, I don't know, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, the most effective effects of all year, screw you. Screw you and the horse you rode in on.
Heck, even A Quiet Place could have been nominated for this.
It could have, and it should have, but it wasn't, because... No, we have to give it... Well, first off, we have to give it to the film with, the film that is the most likely to win Best Picture out of this group of films, which First Man was barely nominated for anything fucking else, so... Academy.
But it's still Damien fucking Chazelle, so it still should get a fucking award, even though First Man was a boring piece of garbage that just told the story as it was. It wasn't exciting, it was boring, and I was bored for 2.5 hours.
Oh, you did
see
it?
So fuck that. Yeah, I did see it, and it was... Jeez, it was just so fucking boring. There was nothing to the movie, and sure, the visuals were fine, I guess, but seriously, we have been blessed with a couple of great movies this year in terms of visual effects, regardless of what you think of the movies themselves, because I know that some people don't like, for example, Ready Player One in this panel. But you can't deny that the effects in Ready Player One are great. They are. Ready Player One looks fucking amazing. And really, this award was between Ready Player One or Avengers Infinity War, because both had incredible visual effects. And you give it to one of the most overrated movies in fucking history. Like, seriously, fucking First Man didn't deserve to be nominated for really anything, because it just was a boring, stupid movie that no one asked for, that no one cared for, and nothing happens in the fucking movie because history happens. And yeah, you can just go back to watch documentaries, or maybe the broadcast of of 1969 when the Apollo 11 finally landed on the moon. But
yeah, I was
this
going
movie
to say,
is just not worth it.
Sadly, Hidden Figures, that movie was not.
No, or Apollo 13 for that matter. Like, honest to fucking God, I don't get it. Infinity War, Thanos itself is a complete visual effect. That is the reason alone why this movie should have won visuals. And there are so many more visual. Like, I've seen I have the Blu-ray, so I've seen the behind-the-scenes stuff. Essentially, everything is green screen. There's a lot of green screen in this movie, and I don't see it. Everything looks so goddamn good. How they created Titan, for example. How they recreated Wakanda and that entire fight. It looks so goddamn gorgeous and amazing. I cannot fathom how the fucking Academy just keeps screwing movies that should win. I don't get it. So fuck you, Academy, and fuck your decision on this.
Yeah, Nico?
I'm a little nervous to be on this Skype call right now. I'm not gonna lie, because Kees is getting heated, and
because we are passionate about a lot of these categories.
Yeah. And I really don't even know, because the power was out and I didn't get to see the damn award show. I have no idea really what was nominated for a lot of these categories.
Yeah, the information's been out for weeks, so you never had a chance to go over it.
And I just told you the movies that were nominated:
yeah,
Solo,
Christopher
Robin, Ready Player One, Avengers: Infinity War, and First Man.
What was First Man about again? Remind me.
The moon landing.
Neil Armstrong.
Yeah, when you look at the rest of the picture of what was nominated, it probably shouldn't have been that one.
No. So we'll move on to the next one. We'll move on to the movie that I'm surprised managed to pull this award, and that is Well, okay. Oh, sorry. Editing.
Oh, yeah.
Because, okay, it didn't have much competition,
No.
but at the same time, actually, you know what? Okay, sorry. Out of Bohemian Rhapsody's wins, this is the second least surprising win it took. That, of course, being film editing. It was also nominated against Black Klansman, Vice, Roma, and Green Book, and
There was no competition, really.
sadly, there was no competition. And I think the Academy really gave it the win mostly for the Live Aid sequence, and that's about it.
Yeah, because that is an extremely well edited sequence.
It's an extremely well. Sorry, go ahead.
The overall movie, in terms of editing, people have pointed it out. There are issues with the editing, which is fair to point out. But yeah, it just didn't have much competition. Now, look, seriously, I'm still mad that Infinity War wasn't nominated because the way that movie is edited is fucking brilliant in my opinion. But yeah, so there was no competition really.
Yeah. And Nico, refresh me. You did see Bohemian Rhapsody, right?
Yes, and I thoroughly enjoy that movie as well.
Thank you.
Fair enough. And now let's move on to what makes me happy as both an MCU fan and as a Ryan Coogler fan, where Black Panther actually took home 3 awards. And in my opinion, for all 3, it deserved it. Absolutely. For production design, it has some competition because as much as The Favorite, isn't necessarily the best movie ever made.
No.
It is, in my opinion, a well-designed film. It's a really great-looking movie. And that was a combination of both cinematography and production design. But, of course, I'm happy that Black Panther took it home because, A, it was great, and B, this is historical precedent. An African-American woman winning an Oscar for a non-acting
for a technical award, essentially.
Yeah. That's amazing. I'm just a little bummed it took us this long, but we're here. So,
yeah.
You know what? I can't even be mad about that. And then costume design. Sorry. Go ahead, Kees. Go ahead.
Oh, I was thinking we're going to talk about just the 3 awards that Black Panther took, not just the ones.
No. Okay, sorry, no, because I was about to go to costume design.
Costume design and score. I actually, because I'm busy with my MCU rewatch, and we decided to kind of do something chronologically, so we watched Black Panther last weekend. Upon my rewatch of Black Panther, I think that the movie is a very well-made movie in terms of at least the things that it won. The awards that it won, it definitely deserved. And I actually really liked the first hour of that movie. The second hour, it gets under my skin a little bit. But yeah, I'm actually very happy that it won the awards that it did, because finally the MCU is ahead of the DCU in terms of Oscar wins and nominations, which it so fucking deserves. Because fucking Suicide Squad. Are you fucking kidding me? Finally, Jesus. It took us 2 years, but we're here,
We're here. Yeah, no, and I'm actually really glad I got you to come around on the score, because, and you know what the best part is, Kees? Do you know what this guy's next project is? The Mandalorian.
Ooh.
So I'm very excited for that, motherfuckers.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
So Nico, come share the excitement of Black Panther winning 3 Oscars for costume design, production design, and score.
Okay, so without a doubt, costume design is the one that I feel it deserved the most out of the 3 it won. When I saw just the Entertainment Weekly images of teasing what we were going to see in that movie, and I saw Shuri's costume for battle towards which she wore toward the end of the film, I was like, I need to see everything about this movie. This is a really cool look, and because the metal that makes up the vibranium, it makes up pretty much everything about Wakanda. It makes up the currency, it makes up the housing, it makes up the clothing. I think they might even incorporate it into their food somehow. So.
Hey kids, don't forget to eat your vibraniumos today.
So like that's
Oh,
that's an award it definitely deserved. What were the score? What were the other ones nominated for score?
The other nominees
Didn't have much
were
competition, to be fair.
Black Klansman, which I thought was good. If Beale Street Could Talk, which I also thought was a great score. Isle of Dogs and Mary Poppins Returns. So
Okay, so the only one I saw out of those five, the only one that I saw out of those four was Black Klansman. So, and the score is not really a memorable one for me. So, with the knowledge that I have, good on Black Panther for winning that one too. The sound of African percussion is always a nice tone to bop your head to. So, well deserved. And what was the last award?
Production design.
Yeah, production.
Well, obviously, Wakanda is magnificent looking. Exactly. Like
Hell,
it looks fantastic.
I'll make the argument it won for the waterfall scene alone.
Yeah.
And even when they went, even when they went outside of Wakanda for that one scene in South Korea, that was also really cool.
That so cool.
I love when we get to see the inside of a casino in a movie. So getting to see that environment, we're doing a little spy mission, espionage. It's always fun. So, and the way that scene was shot, the chase to get Claw, just great all around.
Absolutely. Just once again to everybody who won for Black Panther, congratulations. And the MCU is finally on top of the DCEU.
Well, no, it already was in terms of essentially everything else besides Oscars. Now it also is the Oscars.
Now it also is the Oscars. So, amen for that. Vice won makeup and hairstyling.
Who fucking cares?
Who cares? Moving on to the next bit.
I still need to see Vice, and I'm mad that I haven't yet.
No, you shouldn't.
I mean, watch it, but just don't expect too much out of it.
Anything.
Well, yeah, and I'll be honest now, guys. This is where I'm a little. This is where, at least for me, the Oscars took a little bit of a step back, because as a sound engineer myself, I take sound work very seriously. So why did Bohemian Rhapsody win both awards?
Mixing is deserved. Editing is bullshit.
No, it's such bullshit. I guess I'll give you for mixing it, but as far as like top notch mixing of, because I was lucky enough to see all these films in theaters, and I feel like the best work was either still Star Is Born or First Man in regards to the sound mixing. Sound editing, why it didn't go to Quiet Place? What the fuck is wrong with you people? I'm sorry.
Look, there are so many there are so many moments in the show that we could mention. Why wasn't A Quiet Place nominated, or why didn't it win? Because A Quiet Place should have been nominated for so much more, and it should have won so much more, because it didn't win anything. It was nominated for one, and it's bullshit.
Yeah. Nico?
What award are we talking about now? Mixing?
Sound mixing and sound editing.
Yeah.
Both. They both went to Bohemian Rhapsody.
What was the full list of nominees?
So for
Star Is Born.
For editing, it was Rhapsody, Black Panther, First Man, Quiet Place, and Roma. Sound mixing, Rhapsody, Panther, First Man, Roma, and Star Is Born.
I'm kind of indifferent to this debate here, because like I saw Bohemian Rhapsody, so I liked it, and so if it picked up these awards, I'm fine with that. There might one of those nominees might have been the better choice. I'm just not remembering from the ones I saw how the sounds differed. So,
and that's fair. I guess I get that. It's just, and again, and I'm speaking as a guy who does this, so it just made me mad when, in my opinion, people who went above and beyond the Call of Duty especially in the case of A Quiet Place, and they just
Yeah.
couldn't get the recognition for it. So
Listen, as someone who has been working on a lot of video projects lately myself, and who has said for a long time that sound kills a well visualized project, I get where you're coming from. It's just I don't remember a lot of the sound stuff from things that were nominated, so I can't really like pick out a difference as to like that's why it should have won or that's why it shouldn't have won. You guys have these movies are still fresh in your minds, and I haven't seen a lot of these since I went to the theater to see them.
even more fresh for him because I didn't really see that many films more than once from last year.
Me neither. I just remember the ones that I saw very well.
Yeah. But we will move on. Again, Roma picked up its next Oscar for Best Foreign Language Film. No shock there.
It was a lock.
It was a
But
lock.
by the way, look, if you want to talk about a shocker, Roma only won the ones that it was completely 100% locked for. It didn't win any other ones because there was no question that it was not going to win cinematography, foreign film, and director. The fact that it didn't win more actually is kind of surprising. I'm happy with that because I thought that Roma was artsy-fartsy bullshit. That should not. That is just the typical Oscar bullshit that I don't give a shit about because I didn't even get halfway into that or halfway. I didn't even get a half hour into that movie because I knew what the movie was going to be and I didn't like it. So I'm very happy it didn't win more.
And it's funny because, at least for me, Roma was the Florida Project done way better. In my opinion. But, yeah, so big shock there. No shock. Now let's move on to the movie that, honest to God, like, okay, the fact that it won Best Animated Film, great.
Why was this not nominated for more?
Yeah. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, just one of the best films in recent memory.
Yeah.
Brilliantly done.
So, Lord Miller, congrats. This was you being a great film, so of course they earned it, but this was also their makeup award for not even getting a nomination for Lego Movie. So I will forgive, especially when Lego Movie 2 gets the nomination next year and presumably the win.
But it's not.
I can dream.
Look, I think that How to Train Your Dragon 3 has a better shot at getting
please,
that.
God. Please, God, yes. Please, God.
See, it's easy how I just need to say something to completely win you over.
Ladies, this is true.
By the way, this is a hint for any ladies that have interest in him. I'm taking.
Nico, talk about Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, please.
Yeah, I when I saw this movie, I saw how it was doing in award season for the most part. I was like,
It won everything.
this is a film that should probably be nominated for Best Picture come the end of the season.
Yes.
And for some reason, it was not. Now, it won the award everyone expected it to win, which was Best Animated Feature. But it's more deserving than just that one award.
Yeah.
To use a wrestling analogy, it's basically the small wrestler that deserves the shot at the heavyweight title, and it did not get that opportunity. And
Well, the thing that bothers me most is what is the reason that Black Panther was nominated for Best Picture? It wasn't because it's one of the best movies of the year, because it really isn't, and I think that everyone can agree with that. The only reason it was nominated is because of the diversity thing, and that people care about that, because that was the entire theme of this year's award season. Why not Into the Spider-Verse? It has the diversity thing, and it's a better movie, and it's also a comic book movie.
Because
I don't get it.
And this is the problem that we keep running into every year, the people who run the Oscars have no idea what the hell they're doing.
No, they don't, because they've been the same stodgy old white people who have been out of touch for the last 20 years, I'd say.
And this is why I like TV more than I do movies for the most part, because TV is a little quicker to get on the page with what's current than the people in the movie industry are. It's very weird, but that's basically the way it is. TV is always more ahead of the curve than movies are, because TV has to work faster, so they automatically have to appeal to what's hot. Whereas movies, they take a really long time to put something out, and then by the time they get something out, that window might have already closed.
That's actually a very true point. And actually, you know what? Brian Nussbaum just brought something interesting that I didn't realize until just now. Out of all the people that Lord and Miller thanked in their acceptance speech, you want to know who they forgot?
Ooh.
Stan Lee.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Damn.
Oops. Oh, well. Let's move on to the next award that was won for the night, which, Kees, I know you and I are on opposite sides about this movie, but I'm glad we agree on this point. Green Book is not an original screenplay.
It is not no. That's
No.
the thing. But then again, it didn't have much competition because none of these were really original screenplay. I'm not entirely sure about all of the movies, but I think most of the movies that were nominated for original screenplay were based off something. It's just that those things were not like documented in terms of maybe published into a book or anything. So that's why they based it off of just the stories that they've heard, which technically doesn't make it original. This is the exact reason why Spotlight won Best Original Screenplay, even though Inside Out should have won, because Spotlight is still based off of an actual thing, where Inside Out is a completely original screenplay and it was fucking brilliant. So I just I really like Green Book, and I we'll get more into that in a little bit, but it should not, for the life of anything, have been nominated or win original screenplay. So I don't get it. I just really I get why you separate the categories. You know why you separate the categories, to actually give original screenplays that have that were really crafted by someone like John Krasinski for A Quiet Place. He came up with that story. It was in his mind. He put it to paper and really created something new that was not. I mean, sure, he took inspiration from certain things, but he didn't adapt it based on a true story like Green Book did. So why A Quiet Place wasn't even nominated, I will never know.
Because it should have been.
It should have been, and it might have even.
Hell, Hereditary, one of the other great movies of last year, which had a completely original screenplay, and they just said fuck all to that movie.
Yeah.
But that's fine, because it did give us just one of the most gifable moments of the night when 30 years after his first Oscar nomination for Do the Right Thing, Spike fucking Lee, announced by Samuel L. Jackson, finally got a goddamn Oscar, and literally Spike just jumped into Sam Jackson's arms, and it was glorious. I will love that man just for that moment for the rest of my life. That was great.
Oh, God. Spike Lee definitely deserved the Oscar.
Yes.
It was a lock. Because Black Klansman is extremely well adapted, really good screenplay.
And I also love how at the very beginning of his speech, he said, and this was obviously censored, but I do have some sources who confirmed that what he said was, "Don't you dare start that motherfucking clock." That is so Spike Lee. It's
God,
perfect.
Yes.
Nico, come join the fun. Your thoughts on Spike Lee finally winning his first ever Oscar
For a movie that you saw.
I did not know this was his first ever Oscar. I did not know that it had been 31 years since his last nomination.
Well, he's been nominated a crap ton since then, but that was when his first nomination ever took place.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, I enjoyed this movie very much. I like how it puts a new spin on an old trope and makes it powerful, and just well deserving by Spike Lee. It was a great movie, and the timing for this movie to come out, at least in terms of political climate, is very recent. It's very current, so it fits. I was
gonna say, it's like one of the few movies that goes against your little TV statement you just went on.
Yes, but that just shows how intelligent Spike Lee is that he can see, and also the issue in which he tackled. There really is no time limit on it, to be honest. Like, a lot of the same things that went on in the past that this movie is based on still happen today. So people of today's audiences and people of that era's audience can all relate to the same circumstances.
By the way, I do want to say this also goes against my thing, where I'm usually not. I don't care that much about a movie having the political message, but this was a movie that had a political message that I enjoyed.
It also helped that Kylo Ren was in it.
Yes, because he was awesome. And why didn't he win the Oscar?
And you know what? That's a great question. But to be fair, speaking of, let's get into that then. So, Best Supporting Actor, as we come down to the last 6 awards for the night.
Yep.
You know, Adam Driver, as great as he was, I knew he had no chance. No chance in hell. Sadly, it just wasn't going to happen. And
He will.
He will. Quite possibly next year.
Hopefully.
Please. But
the Academy, if the Academy can get their head out of their ass and actually nominate a Star Wars movie for an acting Oscar for the first time since 1978, please.
And as much as I wanted to go to Daisy, as much as I'd wanted to go to Oscar or John,
Adam has the biggest shot.
So, and because, you know, he actually had a lot of tough competition this year. He had Richard E. Grant in Can You Ever Forgive Me, which I finally saw this past week, and yeah, there's a reason he was the critics' dark horse to win. He was that good. But of course, it went to Mahershala for his second Oscar in 3 years, and I want to just point something out that I didn't notice when Green Book won its other 2 awards. When Mahershala won, he was the only person to thank Dr. Shirley. Oh boy, yes. Oh yeah, look who's in the chat. I believe we have a Mr. Kevin Smets in the YouTube chat. Yeah, we're doing a live show, man. Just let us have this show. You know, it's gonna be a years-long project anyway, so we can screw around for another hour. It's fine. But you know, Kees, as the biggest fan of Green Book on the panel, were you happy to see Mahershala get gold once again?
Yes, because he was great in that movie, and the reason that I liked that movie as much as I did was mainly because of how great Viggo and Mahershala were in that movie. So, like, Viggo was not going to win the Oscar, but I'm just happy that he was nominated for it. But yeah, their chemistry throughout this movie makes the movie as good as it is. And that is something that even the people who are the most critical of it can still agree on, that the performances by them are really good. And and because of the fact that they are, like, the entire story is about them on the road. And it's a lot of fun to just see them and the interactions. There are a couple of really fun scenes. So yeah, Mahershala made that movie just as much as Viggo did, so I think it's so deserved that he won, and it's just great that he won 2 awards in 2 years' time. To
be honest, I can. The last actor I know who did that was Tom Hanks, who won for Philadelphia and then Forrest Gump the year after.
Well, that was back-to-back years. Mahershala had 1 year in between and he didn't, but still.
But I'm saying,
fairly close.
But that close, that doesn't happen very often.
No.
You know, Nico, refresh me? Did you catch Green Book or?
This movie is still on my watch list that I have not gotten to yet. But
considering what it won, you should watch it.
But all you have to say is Mahershala Ali, and I'll be like, yes, because the man blends into every single role he takes on.
Uncle Aaron.
I know he's doing great things over in True Detective right now. When he was in Luke Cage for the first season, Cottonmouth was the best thing about that show. His character was the best thing about that show. And, like, the guy is just a brilliant actor. And I don't know why my voice is suddenly going away, but...
oh, crap. You caught my bug.
But I don't even have to see this movie to know that he deserved this award.
Fair.
Yep.
Fair enough. Fair
Yep.
enough. And we'll move on quickly to Best Supporting Actress, which was the most obvious award ever.
In history.
Yeah, because, look, as presumably the only person here who saw If Beale Street Could Talk,
You did.
Regina King did something incredibly powerful with her performance. You know, she was just a pure delight. I loved every moment she was in, and, of course, she had one of the best moments of the night, which, again, check the thumbnail, Captain America helping her up the steps as she accepts her award. And I will argue she also had the most classy acceptance speech. And, she's just a national treasure who finally got her just dues. So, Regina, congratulations.
Congratulations, indeed.
So, let's move on then to, boy. Biggest upset of the year, in my opinion. Olivia Colman coming right the hell out of nowhere to beat both Glenn Close for The Wife and Lady Gaga for A Star Is Born. And yes, I finally got a chance to see all three of their movies as well. Well, okay, to be fair,
I haven't seen The Wife. It's the only one.
You wouldn't like it. But
I
just,
haven't seen.
But just take my word for it.
Of these movies.
That her performance was one of her career best. So take my word for it.
Yeah, and she won all the other awards this season.
Which also kind of confuses me as to why she didn't take this one then, because that's kind of how it's been in the past. But
well,
what's up with that?
the only thing you can the only case you can make is Coleman won the Golden Globe and the BAFTA, but then again, she won the BAFTA because British, and she won the Golden Globe because she wasn't in the same category as Gaga and Close.
Yeah. Whereas, of course, Close was going to take it over Gaga because, Legacy Award.
Gaga was great.
She was. But the awards he's made just look like, a legacy who was probably going to be running out of steam soon enough. And I know Glenn Close has like one or two more performances that are that caliber in her, but I just don't know if it's going to happen the way that we think it's going to happen. Mm-hmm. But we'll just have to see for, maybe next year, 2 years from now. And as we move into, again, a most obvious win.
It was a lock.
Alfonso, of course. Who else was it going to be?
No one.
No one. I mean, unless, the Russo brothers would have just suddenly shown up and hey, what's up, everybody? It's actually us. But no. That's just not how it went. And refresh me, Nico, you didn't see Roma, right?
Nope.
Okay.
That's the end of that story.
So then fine, Kees, let's you and I get into this real fast.
No. Wait, Best Actor.
Oh, Best Actor, you're right. Okay, Rami. It was
Lock.
him or Bale.
Yeah. well, okay. When award season started and when I saw Vice, I didn't care for Vice that much, but I did think Bill was great, and he won the Golden Globe. But Malick won in the other category, the Golden Globe, and then I saw Bohemian Rhapsody, and the moment Bohemian Rhapsody was over, the first thing I said, Malick is winning the Oscar, and he did, because everything since the Golden Globes has been going Malick's way. The moment that the first series award, I think was the SAG Award for Best Actor, Malick won that one, and it was he's going to win the Oscar. So it was a lock.
It was a lock, sadly. Well, not necessarily
sadly.
Not really sadly, but just
Not
shockingly. Not shockingly.
No, okay, not shockingly. What is weird though is that makes Bohemian Rhapsody the most winning movie out of the Oscars, which is kind of
And
I'm not mad at that because I like Bohemian Rhapsody a lot, but it's a little weird considering how the Oscars usually try to avoid controversial movies or controversial movie directors. Now, to be fair, the studio made the right call the moment that they found out what Bryan Singer had done to fire him and to get someone else on. So the studio already corrected that.
And as everybody who watched it actually noticed, not once was he referenced in any of the acceptance speeches. So,
no,
they
really tried to make sure that he was nowhere to be found near the awards, because the moment you give the littlest bit, you're done. Your movie's done. You're not winning any Oscars.
Yeah, and to be fair, like that was the sort of thing like we had been expecting for that, but then, bam, it just came right out of nowhere and took home the most gold. So it's a potentially dangerous precedent, but I think there's nothing wrong with the actual call. And then Nico, give some thoughts as I check on the chat because it's actually going pretty strong. I'm very happy to see everybody giving their thoughts. Thank you guys, I really appreciate it.
Yeah, so I keep forgetting that Bryan Singer was at one point affiliated with this movie at all.
A lot of people forget that.
Which is probably a good thing, because that means they got him out at the right possible time, as opposed to letting him stay on for a little bit and then dealing with the publicity shitstorm that eventually follows. And yeah, this movie is definitely one of the best films of the year 2018, at least in our opinions.
My opinion, yes.
So I like that it won this award. I mean, the argument could be made that maybe there were a few more deserving nominees than this one, but this is the one that made people feel good. So, yeah.
Fair enough. And it's funny you just brought that up, Nico, as we move on to the final award of the night. And okay.
This is going to be something.
So, if I just don't think about it, Green Book is a pleasant enough film about two friends on the road in the 1960s in the South, when racism was at its peak and most dangerous. Sure, okay. I personally, now granted, if out of the 8 films that were nominated for Best Picture, I personally would only keep 2 of them. Sorry, 3. I personally would only keep 3.
Yeah, the Best Picture nominees this year was
just horrible. Horrible. It was just bad choice after bad choice after bad choice after, thank God, a one good choice and then bad choices. But lest we all forget, unfortunately, the Oscars, just like any other award show, are technically just a prestigious popularity contest.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of, is this going to be an award show that we want to look back on and recognize its importance, or is this one that we're just going to look back on and laugh at, like the 2006 Academy Awards, where Crash won Best Picture?
To be fair, this award show did have both, I think.
And I think, and I'm glad you brought that up, Kees, and we'll come back to that in a second, because that's why I'm so frustrated about Green Book's win. Because from a film perspective, not only am I just mad at it because I think it very irresponsibly basically says to the audience, hey, listen, we're going to feel good about racism and that it's pretty much over, right? Which, oh boy. And never mind the fact that, the Dr. Shirley, the Mahershala Ali character, his family, they never gave approval to tell the story. That's my other big problem with it. My third big problem with it is that while I know what they were trying to go for, I understand it. But when you're approaching a very serious topic in a very serious time, and you're coming at it essentially as like okay. I actually have a really great comparison for this. Why is Blazing Saddles considered one of the great comedies of all time? Because it takes a very serious topic and it completely takes the piss out of it. Which is a British term for just saying it makes fun of something because of how stupid it is in real life. Green Book tries to be lighthearted and sincere about racism, but it doesn't try to address how stupid racism actually is. And of course, and granted, that's my personal opinion, though. But that being said, I do have to say congratulations are in order to the production crew, who I forgot to mention. Oh yeah, all white telling a racism story. And again, that shouldn't bug me. That shouldn't bug me. I'm sorry, but it does, and it shouldn't. I don't want it to bug me, but it just annoys me when they try to give Mahershala so much screen time, but it still feels like it's 100% from Viggo's perspective, and it just, again, rubs me the wrong way. So, sorry. Case.
This was my second favorite out of the Best Picture nominees, because I don't give a flying fuck about anything that happens beside the movie. I care about what movie I'm presented with. And the movie I was presented with was a delightful movie with Viggo and Mahershala having great chemistry throughout the movie that was very entertaining for me, that I could watch, that I could one day could rewatch, and I just know I enjoyed the movie. And like, I'm aware of all the stuff that is going on behind the scenes, and I'm aware about the stuff that is going on in the U.S. I'm sorry, I don't live in the U.S. I live in the Netherlands, and I really sometimes just live in my own bubble that is not society. Because, frankly, I don't give a shit. Because society is fucked anyway. I just base my opinion of this movie on the movie that was presented to me, and I thought it was a very fun, delightful movie that I could definitely just have fun with. And my girlfriend, I watched it with her. We both very much enjoyed it. And we were both like, I would not be mad if this wins Best Picture. Because at that point, it had won the Golden Globe, along with Bohemian Rhapsody. So we were like, hey, if any of those movies wins, I'm happy with that, because those are my two favorites. Because I don't give a fucking shit about Roma, as I said before. I don't give a shit about The Favorite. Black Panther should not have even been nominated for Best Picture, but for some reason it was winning and getting nominated for stuff. So seriously, just the moment that I saw that Green Book actually won Best Picture, I was just happy that it wasn't any of the other nominees that I just didn't like that much. I would have been okay with A Star Is Born, I guess. That was a good movie, but it just didn't get nearly enough the recognition that it should have to get Best Picture, because it only won original song. So in the end, like, I know that everyone is up in arms about what this movie is, and like how it does something, and how that relates to society and real life and whatnot. But I frankly just don't care. I just wanted to watch a fun movie and judge this movie based off if it entertains me, and it did, and that's why I like it. That's why it's one of it's an honorable mention of mine. I think what we will get into later. So yeah, I enjoyed the movie. Sue me.
Well, no, and here's the thing, dude. Like, and I genuinely do wish I could view it like you do. I just can't. Sadly.
Because we live here. And we know the history and the shit that goes on. You have, I'm not going to say white privilege, you have Dutch privilege for not having to
I don't think that's the right term either, Nico. He just...
No. Look, I'm aware of the issues that that apparently the entire society has an issue with, but I don't give a shit about society because society is fucked. So I just view it as a different perspective than you guys. So that's why I do like it.
And there's nothing wrong with that. So, and again, as I've said to you off camera, like I envy you that that you don't experience on a daily basis. Because if I didn't have to, then, hey, the world would be a much better place. But sadly, what are you going to do? But, guys, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in about 5 minutes, and then we'll just get into the rest of 2018 and just get away from these Oscar movies because I want to talk about some good shit.
Yeah, actual good movies.
Actually good movies. So don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be back right after this.
Yeah, I did not think we were going to see stormtroopers coming to arrest everybody at the end of this episode. That was right out of left field. But in hindsight, the way that Tam was looking at Kaz as he was walking out of that secret meeting with Yeager and Doza, I can't help but wonder, was she the one that...
Turned him in.
Yeah. So... Like,
damn you!
I was about to say, I could throttle Tam right now. I could just throttle her neck and strangle her. I'm sorry, why? Why would you rat everyone out like that, Tam? They're going to kill you. Not just everyone else. You're dead too.
Let's just clarify. We don't actually know if she placed out that call.
No, we don't know. But
we don't know it, but come on. And the big hashtag going around was, as part of a new progressive society, hashtag give Elsa a girlfriend. Is this a way that we can naturally do that and still have it completely fit in with the lore established? I say yes. I think this could be a great way to do that.
I've actually also been a supporter of that idea since I heard of it. So, yeah.
I'm honestly wondering if she even needs a relationship. Like, this could...
You have failed me for the last time, quarterback.
Can you imagine? You're off the rails.
Now witness the firepower of this fully armed and operational shotgun plane.
Way to go, Kawhi. You really have hit the rock bottom. Put it in your pants and do a fucking dance in. Cause you didn't see any fucking movie. Do it. Let's get on it. Get over it, motherfuckers. Get started. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Shut the movie.
I really hope somebody makes a metal version. That would be great.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Yeah.
Who's the boss now, bitch? That's right. Oh, I'm gonna join a tournament with someone else because you're too busy. I'm gonna get Mark close. How'd that work out, huh? You were my brother. You got with Riley and you just forget who you are? You congratulated him after the match? What is wrong with you? Who are you? You know what? I'm glad you didn't win the belt. You don't fucking deserve it.
No!
You don't deserve it because without that belt, you're nothing. You know what? Without me, you're nothing. See you in the ring.
Oh no!
Hey, get the fuck
Oh
out of here.
no!
Shit. Alright? Hey, look. Alright? Tell me. Okay? Alright?
Essentially, well done.
Get your mask.
The look on your
no. I am. We are.
I think we're just gonna go straight from the end of this video into video 2 while we all process
Yes.
what just happened. You can find him at Dutch Movie Guy. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at D2A Channel. You can find me at Skywalker Dohmen.
And you find me dead. Bye.
Yeah, I would say we'll see you later. Bye.
No. No.
And welcome back to the Who Cares Anyway podcast. Again, we are live. I'm your host, Chris Dohmen. And you know what? Look, that was fun and all, but let's get away from the Oscar talk. Let's get away from the movies that, for the most part, we don't necessarily care about. And let's finally talk about the movies that we did care about, the movies that we really enjoyed, as all of us have our Letterboxd accounts popped up. Of course.
I'm pulling
big
it up
shout.
right now.
Well, they have the letterbox accounts. I have the notes app with just a bunch of films that I saw written
Hey,
down.
make a letterbox account. It's useful.
Absolutely. So, okay. There's something that I noticed very much about this year in film in particular. There was a lot of personal storytelling, it feels like. When the stories weren't revolved around big, huge, stories
Larger than life.
Yeah, larger than life stories. Everything else was very gritty, down to earth, very personal, whether it was from a political perspective, a just growing up perspective, both, like The Hate You Give, which I checked out finally for the first time about 2 weeks ago, and actually found myself really, really finding it very great and really great. But has anyone else noticed this trend from last year? Like
No.
the sort of the epicness wasn't quite there.
Um,
I really don't know what you're talking about, honestly.
I think I get what he means in that it's more character driven than it might be in terms of like just a really good plot. And as someone who has heard Max Landis, regardless of how you feel about him, he said once when Screen Junkies Plus was a thing, plot is bullshit. The movies that get the most rewatchability are usually the ones with great character development or just characters that make you want to follow them on their journey. So when you look at films like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse and the focus is on Miles Morales and him trying to fit into the role of Spider-Man, movies like Aquaman where it's about Arthur Curry trying to take on the mantle of the king that he doesn't really want until he realizes I absolutely have to take this. Or a movie like, let's say, Game Night, where it's just Jason Bateman feels inferior compared to his brother, so he's trying to put on the best possible game night he can, and it all goes completely awry. For there to be a character-driven stories as opposed to just like, let's have a good plot and nothing more, to put in that personal touch to it. I think I get where Chris is coming from.
I'm actually getting a little bit more now. Just realized. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. And as part of that, I feel like 2018 is going to be a very maligned year of film in years to come.
It was an okay year. It had good movies, had bad movies, but it wasn't anything special, I think, besides a few movies.
And that's kind of my thoughts on it as well, because, sure, we had some great pieces like Annihilation, but we also had, on the flip side of that, we had we had great think pieces about seeing, films about, like, let's say, women in not very non-traditionally women roles, like Annihilation. But then we also had films that, in my opinion, set women 20 years back with a film like Red Sparrow.
Yes, Jesus Christ.
Oh, that movie stoinked.
That movie sucks.
Oh, it was just unpleasant. It was ugly. And
it was not the way that I wanted to see Jennifer Lawrence naked.
Touche. I was gonna say, just look at pictures. Well, actually, no, never mind. Luckily, the internet has known better and has taken all that down. So, good job, internet. I don't say that often, so take it as a fucking compliment.
Yes. Oh, good.
So, all right.
Maintain professionalism.
Oh, come on. Me? Do that? Never. But this was also the year that obviously, what? Screw it. Case, just give me a movie you want to talk about.
Geez, there are a couple that I would want to talk about. But I want to go with a big surprise for me that was not at all what I expected, and we just talked about it. This movie should have been nominated for so much more fucking Oscars. A Quiet Place. It is a miracle. This movie is in my top 5 of the year. Top 5, mind you. It is my number 4 movie of this year. That is a miracle. For an hour and a half since the opening scene, because this opening scene, oh my god, it's so good. It just grips you. It's thrilling. It keeps you on the edge of your seat. It's not a horror movie, not really. I mean, it has kind of some tropes, but
horror elements.
yeah. But what I love about this movie, mostly is that my issue mostly with horror movies is the characters are stupid, and the characters make stupid decisions throughout. These characters are really smart, actually, because they know what they're up against. They know what they need to do to survive. And you see how they went out of their way to make sure that they can survive in the environment they live in. I'm trying not to spoil it because I really want Nico to see it, because please fucking Nico see it. It's worth it. So yeah, like A Quiet Place is so good. Performances are great. Screenplay is great. It should have been nominated for so many more things. It should have won things. Which is why, like screenplay. So that pisses me off. But still, just that was a surprise for me, and I was very happy surprise.
Absolutely. And you know what? Actually, okay, sorry. I have one more complaint about the Oscars. Where the fuck were the horror films?
Anyway,
Nico.
Next year, us probably.
Please, please, please. I would greatly appreciate that. Nico, give me a movie you want to talk about.
Okay, so I want to talk about, and I think I've talked about this a lot on some of our videos before, or at least in private conversations. A Simple Favor.
And this one I actually haven't caught yet, but I really want to.
What is it about?
So this movie is about Anna Kendrick's character is a single mom with a mommy blog where she does like she holds like weekly videos of just how-to stuff for other single moms, and not single, but moms in general. And she's that outgoing mom that's always tries to do everything for the school functions and whatnot. And she becomes friends with Blake Lively's character, who is the wife of a very rich man who got his wealth from a book he wrote like 10 years ago. And they develop a friendship through their children, and all of a sudden Blake Lively's character disappears. And so then it becomes a bit of a it becomes a detective story with a lot of dark comedy to it. And it goes a million different ways that you don't expect it to go. And I don't want to say what those ways are because I feel like you guys should see it for yourselves and really enjoy it. But basically what sold me on this movie was the first trailer that came out for it. And so I'm a guy who, whenever I do watch award shows, it's mostly for the fashion. I know that sounds crazy, but I like to watch award shows for the red carpet fashion. And as we mentioned with Black Panther, I was a big fan of the costume design, especially when it came to Shuri's battle gear. So when I see in the first trailer for this movie, Blake Lively wearing a white tie and tails walking through the park, I'm automatically like, what is this movie about? I need to see it, because just that one visual alone has me curious. And that shows like Paul Feig knew he had something golden on his hands, and it showed. It was one of the dark horses of last year when it came to the best movies, and I really enjoyed it. And I feel like if you haven't seen it yet, you're missing out.
So compared to Bridesmaids, which I will argue is his other, which I'll argue is his best film, but I haven't seen A Simple Favor yet. How would you say it ranks compared to Bridesmaids?
So here's the thing. Bridesmaids is a straight-up comedy, or at least a rom-com. This is a dark comedy. A Simple Favor is more of a dark comedy with romantic elements to it, but this is Paul Feig exploring his more mature side to things, going a little bit darker in tone and seeing what he can do with the stuff he hasn't explored with before. So to compare the two would be sort of unfair to either movie because the tones are very different. But if you're more of a serious movie fan, I feel like this will be your cup of tea. Like it has comedy elements to it, but it's a lot more serious.
Now, because I also heard that it has a little bit of a spy movie feel to it, but actually done well, unlike The Spy Who Dumped Me. Would that be a fair assessment?
Repeat that analogy again.
Okay. Basically, I just heard it has a little bit of a spy movie element to it. Would that?
Not a spy movie, more of a detective thriller aspect to it.
Well, IMDb lists it as a comedy crime.
Yes, it's a dark comedy crime story. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, then I look forward to checking out when I have the time. And then I'll keep this quick because I'll give my simple reason as to why I enjoy it so much. But 8th grade. So here's the funny thing. I like Bo Burnham. I don't love Bo Burnham. I think his comedy styling is very mixed. But who'd have thought that him telling a story about a girl who is in 8th grade and runs this, inspirational vlog type thing where she tells people to, be yourself and how to be confident and yada, yada, yada. But in real life, she can't do that. And, of course, much like Lady Bird before it, what does this movie remind me of? Oh, wait.
Yourself.
Myself. Back then. There's a reason the movie's my number 4 of the year.
Hey, your number 4 as well.
I adore this movie. Because obviously, as I have now just said, I found a very deep personal attachment to it, and a guy who I guess has really just been a misunderstood artist to me. Somebody I never really cared for, but I think I'm finally starting to get him. So, Bo, thank you for giving me a delightful film that gave me a little bit of a reality check, especially because when I saw it, let's just say that I was dealing with some shit, trying to move on from something that I was involved in for a very long time, and I needed a movie like that to help me just focus my energy in a more positive place. So, yeah. Now, I think we can talk about one of the biggest releases of the year. A movie that I'm in a little bit of a minority on in terms of how much I just think it's totally meh. Because it's not bad, but I just think the first one blows it out of the water. And I'm, of course, talking about Deadpool 2.
Okay, I was thinking, where are you going with this one?
Yeah. Let's talk about Deadpool 2. Kees, start me off.
I have a personal reason to love this movie. This is the very first movie that Irina and I watched in the theater together. So
in person.
In person, indeed. Yeah. That's the point. She was here for that, and we could actually see this and enjoy the shit out of it. It is so funny. Ryan Reynolds once again is great as the character of Deadpool. I absolutely adore the first Deadpool. It's one of my favorite comic book movies ever. And I just think that they, while it is a step down compared to the first one, because it's just, it has the same issue that a lot of the sequels have, especially in this case, they're expanding the budget, they're expanding on things, and it doesn't.
They're expanding on things going in people's butts.
Jesus. No, but they expanded on things that they maybe should not have expanded on. Now, uh, I have seen it a couple of times since. I really still enjoy it. I do think it has serious issues that a lot of people like. It's valid if you don't care that much about this movie, but I do because it has a special reason for me. And I still just love the character of Deadpool in this movie. A lot of jokes are really on point. Really just hit me well, especially. Great cameo by Brad Pitt that just had me rolling and
Oh my
was
God, yes.
seriously one of the funniest moments and some of the funniest end credit scenes ever. Because yes, thank you for shooting Ryan Reynolds when he signed Green Lantern. That was just so fun. Like seriously, this definitely had the most laughs out of me this year, I think. So I really enjoyed it. It's not in my top 5, but it's in my top 10. So that's something.
Fair enough. Nico?
So I remember in the theater, I enjoyed it. And then, I don't know, just time went by and I kind of forgot, oh yeah, there was a Deadpool 2. So, like, I didn't remember there was a Deadpool 2 until it was playing on the TV at Thon when I was in my hotel taking my break with the rest of my shift. So like it would just be something we would watch before we would travel back to the Bryce Jordan Center to dance for another 6 hours. And you know, I did have some laughs again, busting the balls with my roommate with all the jokes, a lot of innuendos, but you know. Here's the thing, though, and I actually have your boys critically acclaimed to thank for this because otherwise I would not have realized this. As progressive as the Deadpool movies have been, Deadpool 2, in terms of the beginning portion of the story, takes a gigantic step back in that it uses a very piss-poor trope from comic books as started by Kyle Rayner, the woman in the refrigerator trope. And
What? I'm not getting it.
Where they kill off the loved one to help advance the plot. And yeah, it's just for a movie that seemed so ahead for the first movie was so ahead of its time, and now the sequel, for it to take that step back in terms of being aware of what society likes and dislikes, it seems it changed my viewing of the film.
Yeah, and well, never mind even that part of it. My only big thing about Deadpool 2 in terms of like why I just don't really love it as much as the other one. It's because I feel like because they did repeat a few too many jokes for my liking, and also like the movie would actually do something serious for a hot second, and then it would just we got thrown a dumb joke to make it funny again. They kind of Guardians of the Galaxy 2'd it.
A little bit,
not as bad,
Definitely
but
not as
still,
bad.
but they still did that. And it bugged me a little bit, but yeah. So so speaking of, then let's go another film that disappointed, especially in the box office. But I still don't. But I feel like now on the reverse side of it, I'm probably the most positive on it out of the three of us. And that is the origin story of everyone's favorite smuggler, Solo, a Star Wars story. I'm gonna get my piece out of the way right now. Case, I know you're gonna say that the score is the greatest hits compilation, and my God, you couldn't be more wrong.
No.
I've actually.
No. Okay. Look, I can be wrong about an opinion, so shut up. Sorry.
Sorry. All right. Fine. But no. Like, I personally actually really like John Powell's score for Solo. I really like most of the characters, I just didn't get enough time with Val and whatever the hell Jon Favreau's character's name was.
Rio Durant.
I'll just call him Rio de Janeiro so I can remember that better
Ah.
that way.
No, look, Duran Duran made a song called Rio, and he's called Rio Durant. It's funny.
Oh my God! Wow, that's okay. Well done. Anyway, yes, I like those characters. Didn't get enough time with them, but oh my God, Alden, Donald, they were perfect casting for Han and Lando. I actually really like L3. I thought she had the right amount of sass, even if I know, like, where they took her was a little bit too on the nose. But I liked I liked the character enough to make up for that, even though the ending, her death, whatever, it was, fine. And am I saying it was perfect? It was a perfect movie? No. But I also really liked it. So that's my attempted defense of Solo. Nico, we'll go to you first, and then I'll let Kees have his way with it.
So I've only gotten to see this movie once so far, and I will agree with you on a lot of the points you made. For one, Alden Ehrenreich and Donald Glover as Han Solo and Lando Calrissian, phenomenal performances by both. They really captured the essence of those characters, and I feel like it's a shame that the comic books in which they use the Alden Reich version of Han Solo might not be selling as well as Marvel would
Alden
hope.
Reich, that's interesting.
Oh,
I
shoot.
just noticed it's okay, continue. We get the point.
Shoot. But yeah, you get my point. I'm sure Marvel wishes those comics were doing better because Alden really does capture Han Solo well. I also like the character of Kira. I like how complex she is. Like there are a lot of layers to her. Like she doesn't want to rebel because she's seen what rebellion can do. She's been on the negative end of rebellion, and she doesn't want to be on that again. She'd rather keep advancing her way into the crime world because it's all she knows, and she doesn't want to try anything else out of fear. Darth Maul coming back, that's always great, and Witwer does a great job as usual portraying the role. And yeah, I also really enjoyed the character of L3, and her end. Maybe not when they actually made her part of the Falcon, but when like she gets shot down and Lando is holding her in his arms, like it's one of those moments where droids become human, and it's also one of those moments that makes me question how I feel about robots having consciousness, because like I'm on the side of Stephen Hawking is right because he doesn't want his wheelchair throwing him down the stairs after it gets a brain. And yeah, John Powell's score, like we love his work in How to Train Your Dragon. So just for him to bring his own take on Star Wars is always nice too. The story itself, that's where the movie becomes a little bit meh for me because we kind of knew how certain things were going to play out. We knew Han Solo was going to live to the end, which kind of
no, they're gonna kill him off.
Which kind of lessens the stakes a little bit. We kind of knew that Lando was going to live, although we didn't know where he was going to end up at the end of everything. We kind of knew Chewbacca was going to stay with Han, and also the fact that it wasn't his wife that he ended up hugging as he went back with Han after leaving that one planet. It was just some random Wookiee who, I don't know, maybe they knew each other, but I don't know. Like the Wookiee life debt moment might have been more impactful had it been someone from Chewbacca's own family that he was having that goodbye moment with. So there were the character development was good in this movie, but the story itself, and I feel like there were a lot of missed opportunities that just lessened the impact for me. So it ranges from good to meh, as opposed to being good to great.
Well, okay. I have actually rewatched this movie. I have actually sat down and just gave this movie another shot because I remember, quite frankly, just hating it when I saw it in the theater. Upon rewatch, I don't hate it, but it's Phantom Menace level for me. Like it's watchable, but it has nothing to it for me. Um, I'll give credit where it's due. Alden is great. Like Alden didn't care about didn't care about impersonating Harrison Ford because frankly you shouldn't do that. He gave his own spin and he really made that work, which was awesome. And his relation with Chewie, minus their introduction at the very beginning, which I have an issue with, but I can forgive that because the relation throughout the movie between Chewie and Han is great. It really is. And that is what I really enjoyed about the movie. So at least they got that right, which is probably the most important thing for your Han Solo movie, which is why I do think it's overall watchable. I had a couple of issues. I had a lot of issues with this movie, if I'm completely honest. Some things that I just don't care about as much anymore compared to when I first saw it, because when I first saw it, I had so many issues, and the second time was more forgiving. I just didn't care that much. The cinematography is atrocious for fucking Bradford Young, who was nominated for Arrival 2 years ago to make this. I don't know what the hell happened, but it looked garbage. It honestly did. Which
let me. It's quite possible that could have been related to the transition of directors. Like there's still some discussion as to how much the transition from Lord and Miller to Ron Howard had an impact on the movie itself.
All I know is Lord and Miller would have done a better job with this movie, in my opinion. Also, like, there are definitely a lot of missed opportunities because, honestly, besides Han and Chewie and Lando to a degree, I didn't really care or remember any of the characters. Kira on rewatch was better for me. I really didn't like her the first time, but on rewatch she's a lot better actually. But like Woody Harrelson could have been anyone. What's his face? Paul Bettany could have been anyone.
Yeah.
Thandie Newton could have been anyone. Jon Favreau, you already voiced Vizsla in the Clone Wars. Why do you voice another character? You sound the same.
Because he can. Because he can.
John,
I know.
And you know he's gonna voice someone in the Mandalorian.
And I think I'm more speaking for the majority of Star Wars fans because I've seen a lot of Star Wars fans who like Solo a lot, but really didn't like all three. All three is just not that good of a character, and it's so on the nose what they try to do with the character that I'm like, yeah, I don't fucking care. You're an annoying character, and I don't care if you die or not. Because please, just die, and then I don't have you in my movie anymore. The Kessel Run is arguably one of the worst Star Wars scenes I've ever seen. I despise it. The score is awful. It's a greatest hit compilation during that scene. The score on rewatch was fine. But during the Kessel Run, it's way too dark. You can't see shit. The visuals are fine, I guess, but the cinematography is just awful, and the score is awful. So yeah, that is just one of the worst scenes I've seen in Star Wars, and that's what really drags down the movie for me. And I knew that I would see the Kessel Run, and I knew that I would hate it. But yeah, it ended up exactly like how I expected it, and that's pretty much the entire movie. Everything that happens in this movie is exactly what you expect. There are no surprises whatsoever, except Darth Maul, which I was like, at least half of the audience is not going to understand this because they don't watch Clone Wars or Rebels, and they don't get why he's still alive. And they're going to probably ask their Star Wars friend who's like, oh, he came back, but there's like...
But that's a good tool. That's a good tool because it makes people want to watch the Clone Wars and watch Rebels, so they understand how we got to that point, and then it brings them into the more of the Star Wars lore, and then they are more invested in the story itself that we see in the movie.
To come back to the point of the regular audience will not understand why Darth Maul is in this movie because they don't watch the Clone Wars or Rebels, and they shouldn't. You shouldn't have to watch a 6-season TV show made for kids to understand why something happens in your movie. Your movie should explain that of itself. So the moment that he shows up, it's confusing and it's a bad decision, in my personal opinion. I know that everyone fucking loves it. I don't. I think it's stupid. So yeah, the movie has plenty of issues. But I'm okay with it.
to piggyback off on that, there have been plenty of movies that have been based off of TV shows before. Like the Star Trek movies came from the original TV show.
Look, that's not even an argument. Your movie in and of itself should do a good enough explanation of everything that is in the movie. You should not have to read a book, watch a TV show, or do anything besides watch the movie to understand the movie. The moment that you have to do anything else than watch the movie to understand stuff that it happens in, then your movie fails. So that's my point. That's also the thing with Rogue One. Rogue One has a lot of issues that I was okay with because I read Catalyst, but you shouldn't have to read Catalyst to understand Rogue One. So,
I'm just saying there should be those rewards for the people like us who follow the expanded portions of the canon in the other mediums.
That's a different thing, and I do agree with that. Because yes, like there are Easter eggs in the movie that are nice for us as fans. Like VCX 100, people who don't know Rebels don't know what that means. But the moment VCX 100 came up, I screamed because, yay, the ghost! But that's a different thing to me.
All right. Well, let's move on from that movie now, because we are starting to run low on time, and to be honest, I don't want to do another 2.5 hour show. So, because I got some writing I want to get done tonight, as well as a little bit of gameplay for research. Anyway, here's what we're gonna do. I want everyone to say a movie that they genuinely hated this year.
Oh.
And it doesn't have to be like the worst movie you saw this year, but I want a movie that you genuinely did not like, and then I also want you to give me your favorite film of the year. So, Kees, I know you have two answers. For that,
yeah, I think the movie that I hated the most was The Predator. Shane Black's The Predator. As a fan of The Predator, the original Predator, and actually Alien vs. Predator, and Predators, the first hour is good, then it really goes awry. But as a fan of the Predator character and as a fan of Shane Black, this movie was garbage. It was so bad. There was no plot. There were no characters. There was nothing to this movie. There were a lot of actors that didn't have any character. There was a lot of things going on for a movie that just didn't have a plot, and it was just so bad. So fuck this movie. And I don't get it. Like Shane Black, you're a good director. You make good movies. Like The Nice Guys, like Iron Man 3, and other movies that I haven't seen but I've heard are good. Why the fuck did you make this? Why the fuck did you bother? That's my point. Predator. And also my favorite?
Yeah.
Avengers Infinity War is the best movie of this year because it was everything that I wanted. It is my favorite MCU movie. It's my favorite comic book movie. It's my most rewatched movie because it's so goddamn awesome. Period. Move on.
And then watch. He'll say he'll say the same exact same. Wow. Talk, Chris. I haven't
Can
been
you
drinking
talk?
tonight. As I was trying to say, watch. You'll say the same exact thing about Endgame come next year. I'll put money on it.
Awesome. I look forward to it.
Nico, give me a movie you genuinely hated from this past year, and then give me a movie that was your absolute favorite.
Okay, so I'm probably, out of the three of us, the least capable of feeling hatred. So there aren't really
towards a movie.
There really aren't. I didn't really see any movies that like I genuinely hated. There were some that I didn't like very much. But in terms of, so I'll just give you the one I liked the least out of all the ones I saw this year, and I'm gonna have to go with Aquaman. And the reason for that is because there is an animated movie called Justice League Throne of Atlantis. It's basically an hour version of the same thing I saw with Aquaman. So when I saw Aquaman, I felt like I've already seen this before. So I'm kind of a little underwhelmed. And so you're basically just giving me something I already saw with weird hair pieces.
I hear a lot of people say that they already saw the same thing earlier that year with Black Panther. Because Black Panther's plot is extremely similar to Aquaman. I haven't seen Aquaman yet. But
I get it. I get it. You hate Black Panther.
No. I like it.
We just hate the DCEU.
Yeah, we do.
Okay, but in terms of films that were my favorite, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Thank you.
And the reason why is because, and I'm gonna make a jump here. I had not seen The Princess Bride for the longest time, but people kept hyping it up to me forever and forever and forever. So when I finally did see it, it lived up to every ounce of hype that people had given it. And that's the same thing that I felt with Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I had been hearing so many great things about this movie, and when I got into the theater and when I left the theater, I felt like every ounce of hype that this movie got was justified and more. Like the character development is brilliant. The story it tells is brilliant. The
Everything
emotional
it has to say about women and race and like literally, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse was 2018 in film.
Exactly.
It had everything.
And going back to the Oscar discussion, it's still a crime that this movie was not considered for Best Picture. It's more than just an animated film, much like a lot of wrestlers are more than just cruiserweights. It is the world champ of 2018, in my opinion, for film. And the fact that it wasn't given its just due is crazy.
I mean, you want to talk about a movie that could have been the first animated film to win Best Picture. This would have been it.
First animated and comic book. It should have. It didn't.
I mean,
and that's the thing. It looks genuinely like a comic book.
It is.
That's something we keep forgetting to mention is that the way in which this it's been animated, it looks like we're seeing a comic book come to life. And I know we hear that a lot from other movies, but no, they genuinely took like pages of comic books and animated them for us to see. You can see the little dots from the ink on certain characters' skin.
When Peter is typing, clickety clackety clack.
Word bubbles and everything. It looks like we're watching a comic book in visual form. And yeah, just this film did so many great things, and it didn't get its just desserts.
Also, arguably one of my favorite jokes in the entire movie, which is also very comic book-like, when Mouse is confronted by the guy who says, "You snuck out last night," he's like, "Play dumb. Who's Morales?" "Not that dumb." It's so funny and it works so well, especially because you have the comic book things of the thought. It's just awesome.
oh my god, and yeah, I mean, holy shit. You talk about a movie that will be talked about 20 years from now. I mean, like, okay, let's go back. Let's rewind the clock 3 years.
Let's go back last time.
Sure, and let's talk about how in the last 3 years, the Oscars have finally started, giving other movies more chances. 2015. Spotlight wins, a movie that actually has the balls to attack the Catholic Church.
Great movie.
Great movie.
Yeah.
2016, Moonlight, a movie that breaks down what it's like to be a homosexual in the black community in a very homophobic black community, I might add. A movie that has the balls to actually show that. Good job.
Haven't seen it yet. Should probably do that.
And to be fair, it's not everyone's cup of tea. But
it wasn't mine.
But on the other hand, at least the way that I see it, it's very ballsy filmmaking. So well done. Then last year, Shape of Water. A woman fucks a fish.
Yeah.
And it won
Best
Picture.
It's the fish sex movie. And it was Best Picture.
So why couldn't the animated movie that all ages could have watched, that all ages could understand, that tackled racial sensitivity, that tackled class warfare, that tackled crime, that tackled so many big ideas and sensitive subjects, why couldn't that win fucking Best Picture?
There's a Spider-Man pig version, and it just shows that anyone of any designation can wear that mask and be a hero.
By the way, it gave Nicolas Cage his best role since ages.
Yes,
Well,
this is
to be fair, I also recently saw Mandy, which came out last year, and the Cage is back.
Okay, good. That's a good thing.
That's a very good thing. No, please, Nico, go ahead. Go ahead.
But no, you're right. You're absolutely right. This film broke so many barriers and had a message and characters and a design that just popped in every single way it should have, and it did not get treated in terms of the Academy the way it should have. It got reduced to use wrestling terminology, it got treated like a cruiserweight when it was really a heavyweight, and it should have gotten the title shot, and it did not do that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But it is what it is, as I'll give my favorite well, first off, I'll go with my least favorite film of the year. Gods Are Not Dead, A Light in Darkness.
I can't believe this franchise is still going on.
I can't believe it either. But here's the thing.
Wait, this is an actual thing? Are you not kidding?
No. This
Wow.
has been a franchise for coming up on 6 years now. I mean, the last one was a courtroom drama with Melissa Joan Hart. Ew.
Why is Sabrina the Teenage Witch doing that to herself?
I was gonna say, like, dude, why can't, like, if you had to do it, why couldn't you get a Black Cat in there and have Salem just do the trial for you? That would have been a lot better, and it would have been funny, because Nick McKay is God. But anyway, no, so this third one comes out, and I'm like, no, this can't be a thing. But sure as shit, it is, and it sucks, of course.
Big surprise to anyone.
Well, and not granted, I wasn't expecting anything good. I was just expecting something that wouldn't be insulting to my intelligence. And oh wait, I forgot. This is a God's Not Dead movie. We don't believe in common sense and logic here in these films.
Thanks.
Oh man. But this gives way for me to, and I'll quickly mention two of my other favorites from last year. Yes, big shock. Black Klansman was one of my favorite films of last year. Big fucking shock. As well as Hereditary, a movie that I know made Josh McCouga go. But that being said...
By the way, my mom and sister absolutely hated that movie with a burning passion.
Okay.
Why?
They think the plot is absolutely stupid. I didn't see it, so you can argue with them when I'm not in the
I
room.
will!
Chris, I will never watch this movie exactly for this reason.
But it's so fucking well shot. It's so well edited. It's so well acted. Toni Collette should have gotten the Oscar. Anyway, let's get into my favorite film. That, yeah, of course, was robbed of its chance to be nominated for Best Picture and Best Documentary because, yeah, for once, this has never happened in any year that I have looked at movies from a list perspective or put together my favorite movies in a list. But
Are you about to say, "Won't you meet my neighbor"?
But last
You
year,
spoiled it.
my favorite movie was, in fact, the Fred Rogers documentary, "Won't You Be My Neighbor." I needed this movie when it came out. I needed it because I don't know if I've made it very obvious, guys, but I'm kind of cynical. I have a lot of issues with the world, and I tend to think of the worst in people. I tend to find that, much like Kristoff in Frozen, I'm that guy who's sitting there playing his lute and saying, "People will cheat you and curse you and beat you. They're all truly terrible, except you, except a very small group of people." But this movie reminded me that there are so many good people out there who can make a difference, who have the ability to make a difference, if we just give them the right encouragement to make a difference. And it's also the movie that reminded me of my own failing to be a decent person. But not in a way that makes me feel bad for myself. But in a way that tells me, hey man, you know what? You fucked up in 2018. But you want to know what you can do about it? You can turn it around. You can make something of yourself, and you can actually be greater than any mistake you've ever made. And who'd have thought it would take a documentary about a child entertainer that I honestly didn't watch that much when I was a kid, and I wish I had. And it took that documentary for me to realize that. So it's just as simple as that. And Fred Rogers, of course, we lost you way too fucking soon. But I know for a fact that what the world needs right now is another one of you. So.
And I can't believe I still haven't seen this movie because I grew up.
I was about
in
to
the
say,
same...
you're from Pittsburgh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, I come from the same area where Fred Rogers made a name for himself. And for some reason, I never... Hell, I even went to, for a semester, I even went to St. Vincent College where he has an entire building memorialized after him. So the fact that I haven't seen this movie yet is probably a crime on my part. And I should probably rectify that. And yeah, Mr. Rogers, you did leave us too soon. I grew up watching him, and I got to check out this documentary.
Please do. If you're like me, it will probably rip your damn heart out because of how much of a breath of fresh air it is to be reminded that even in this day and age of horrible people on the internet and Twitter trolls and Donald Trump and whatever the fuck else is going on in the world.
Thank you for mentioning that.
there is still a way to turn that around. There is still a way to be decent to one another. And to prove that kindness ultimately is what will win in the end. It will always win over hate. It will always win over ignorance, over arrogance, over self-righteousness. Love and kindness will always make it happen.
You got deep there, man.
I did. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the Who Cares Anyway podcast. Stay tuned next week when we have the creators of the tabletop RPG Seize the Imperium stop by for an hour to talk about how they got invested in sci-fi board game storytelling. Which, to be honest, it sounds like a lot, but I'm really excited for this. And I think you guys will like it. Will like it too. So with that being said, Nico, where can the good folks find you online?
Facebook, Twitter, YouTube at Nico Suave Regoli. That's NicoSuaveRegoli. You can find me here on Dedicated to Art and all the places these two gentlemen will say in just a few moments. You can find me over on Combat Wrestling Network. That's the name of the YouTube channel. The Facebook group is Combat Wrestling Trivia. If you like wrestling trivia, that's the place to go to. We'll get you a match. And yeah, enjoy it there. And finally, Multiplex Entertainment. That's the name of the Facebook group and the YouTube channel. The Twitter is at MultiplexYT. The Instagram is Multiplex Entertainment Network. The TeePublic is just Multiplex. Buy our awesome shirts. And also, I've been doing some stuff over at Full Metal again. It's been a while since I've been there. But yeah, I was just recently in probably one of the best matches Full Metal Random has had so far, an NXT match. If you're a wrestling fan, go check out that match. And next week, I'll be competing in a Family Guy Full Metal Random match as well. So if you like Family Guy, stay tuned for Wednesday.
All right. And Kees, where can the good folks find you online?
You can find me not being on the show next week because I have to work, which is something that I haven't mentioned to these guys yet. So there you go.
Oh.
Anyway, you can find me on Facebook and Letterboxd, Kees Cornelisse, simply. On Twitter at Dutch Movie Guy. On Multiplex competing in various matches. And I think that's about it.
All right, and you guys can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Stardust, and Letterboxd at Skywalker Dohmen. You guys can follow this very channel on Twitter and Instagram at D2A Channel. Please like our Facebook page. Like, comment, subscribe. Don't message me in the middle of a show, please. That would be greatly appreciated. And also, if in case one of you guys do message me about something I don't get back to you, I started a new job this week. Totally forgot to mention that at the top of the show. Whatever, it's fine. Who cares anyway? And until next week, guys, you know what to do. Take care!
Yeah!